Welcome to Mile High Reefers. I'm Scott Anderson, and it's time to do a full review on the Kessil A360X LED lights. The Kessil A360Xs are, in my opinion, some of the coolest new lights on the market. So when Kessil came to me offering to sponsor the lighting on this tank, I took them up on it in a second. The reality is I've been offered quite a few different lights for this tank, and I've held off for the right lights, and those lights are the Kessil A360Xs. So there are two versions of the Kessil A360Xs out there. We have the A360X Sun for freshwater planted tanks, and we have the A360X Tuna Blues that I'm running on this tank. Very similar lights, just different LED modules for the color spectrums you need for each application. So for this video, we're talking about the A360X Tuna Blues. So the most important part to any light is, does it put out the amount of PAR you need, so the amount of power or punch that it has, and does it have the spectrum you need? So the Kessils are unique because they use a dense matrix LED. They pack all of the LEDs into the center of the light, and they're nice and tightly packed so that you don't get that color separation. So you never see your reds and your greens separated out on your coral. They're always blended perfectly. This is a big deal. The Kessil A360X has about 90 watts of power coming out of it, which for my tank is more than enough power. I've got a 210 gallon Reef, and right now I'm maxing my lights out at about 70%. So for even this big tank, I've got more power and punch than I need to keep my corals happy and healthy. As far as spectrum goes, we have the same blue and white blending that we had in the old Kessil A360WEs, but we've also added red and green and my favorite, violet. So with that improved color spectrum, we've also got increased punch over the old A360s, meaning these have 25% more light output than the old lights, and the spread has been put to a 130-degree angle. This is huge. Most lights these days will put out more PAR than your tank needs. Spread is what matters in Kessil's delivering. The spread on these lights is amazing. I'm in love with how wide angle the lighting really is. So the spread is amazing for most tanks, but maybe you don't need that spread. Maybe you're trying to light a coral on the bottom of the tank and you need to be able to get some punch down to it. Well, Kessil has you covered with some narrow angle reflectors. These are actually really cool. They take your angle down to 55 degrees from 130, which gives you a nice tight angle on the light, and it gives you more PAR at the bottom of the tank or wherever you're trying to shoot. But what makes this really cool is the way it mounts. It mounts up with magnets, so it's so easy. You just put it up to it and it sticks. So another important consideration when buying a light is the actual form factor of the light itself. So a lot of lights are kind of big boxy things. Kessil A360Xs are small. They're really small. And with the 360X, they made it 30% smaller than the WE version of the light, which is really cool. Now, as they go smaller, there could be cooling problems. Well, Kessil addressed that too, and they improved the cooling, which makes me happy. Nothing kills a light faster than cooling issues, and I think Kessil has knocked it out of the park when it comes to cooling. So next up is the hanging options for the light. Kessil has a couple of really nice hanging kits available. These are really nice. I've had the opportunity to use them at Aquamatic Live. They work great. But also included in the box is a really simple but effective hanging kit, and it's actually what I used on this tank. It's a hook with a threaded mount that screws directly into the light. This is really cool because I can hang it quick and easy right out of the box, nothing separate to purchase. I've used other LEDs in the past that didn't have good hanging options. That thread is a standard threaded fitting that you can just go buy at a hardware store. So you can DIY your own mount and use your own creativity. It's a really nice addition. It's a little screw hole, but it makes a huge difference to how easy this light is to use and how effectively it can be mounted. So case in point, I've got a nice little black hole right here. I've got a huge crown toadstool leveler that when it's opened up blocks the light to this black hole right here. I'd love to put coral in there, but I can't light it. But imagine a Kessil A360X up in this corner on an articulating arm, angled down this way to light that hole. Throw one of those narrow angle reflectors on there and I could light that thing beautifully. So next up is controllability. Right out of the box, we've got two knobs on top of the Kessil A360Xs. One controls your blue and white balance. The other controls your intensity. This is actually an amazing set of controls. If you do anything like frag swaps, where you need to mount lights and change colors to show your customers the different colors of your coral based on whether it's blue or white light, nothing beats a Kessil. These are the exact same controls I use at Aquamatic Live, and I absolutely love them. I'm able to just turn a knob and show my customers what the coral looks like under white light or blue light. Also, when I'm taking a photo, nothing's cooler than adjusting the white balance right on the light. Makes it really easy to get a color accurate photo that I can send to my customers. If you need more controllability, Kessil has the Spectro Controller as an accessory. This gives you full control over your lighting. You can program your ramp up, your ramp down, but it also unlocks some extra colors. So instead of just being able to control your blues, your whites, and your intensity, you can now control the reds, the greens, and the violets, which is really cool. So the way I have my tank set up is it starts off real blue in the morning, turns pretty white midday, and as we go towards evening, it goes blue again with the intensity kind of starting to drop off. But as we go towards evening, those violets pull up. And I love doing that because it just makes the colors in the tank fluoresce and look amazing. So I push those violets up, I bring the blues down low, I get this kind of purpley fluorescent tank for about a half hour towards the end of the night, and it looks beautiful. I love it. Now, as far as the Spectro Controller works to mount up, it was super easy. The bracket's made of metal. I screwed it right to the wood for the canopy, and it's magnetic. So it just screws right on and then pow, magnets hold it right up. Not a problem. If I need to take it off, I can just take it off and use it. It's really nice. The old Spectro Controller needed its own power cord feeding it. The new Spectro Controllers run off of USB-C. So I've got a USB-C cable running from the Spectro Controller to each light. That provides the signal to each light to tell it where it should be color spectrum wise and intensity wise. But the lights are also feeding power back to the Spectro Controller. So now I don't have to have that separate plug-in for the Spectro Controller. So while we're talking about USB-C, one thing I noticed that was really cool was when I plugged all my lights together and plugged it into my Spectro Controller, the Spectro Controller instantly recognized that I had 3 lights hooked up. There was no fiddling around, it just knew I had 3 lights hooked up. When I started programming, all 3 lights just worked. To me, having a controller that just works is really important. So the next bit of controllability is Wi-Fi. And Kessil is supposed to release Wi-Fi dongles that I presume will plug into the USB-C ports and give you direct Wi-Fi control over your lights from your mobile device like your cell phone. So I can already see the comments. People are going to be like, Kessil made an amazing light, but I wish they would have included the Wi-Fi in the light. Honestly, I don't know why they didn't. Maybe they were too far into the production process to make the change. Really, I don't know. Here's what I know about Wi-Fi controllability. Good Wi-Fi controllability can make a device really nice and easy to use. Unfortunately, I have yet to find any product, not just an aquarium product, that has good Wi-Fi controllability. Now, knowing Kessil, my guess is this is the reason that the Wi-Fi is somewhat delayed. They are security driven, so they want to make sure your device is secure, and they're also wanting to make sure that they put out a product that's easy to use and is going to work on most devices. So that's my guess as to why the Wi-Fi's not out yet. They want to make sure that the user experience is as good as possible. And as far as I'm concerned, the Spectro Controller gives me that, but I definitely want to test the Wi-Fi as soon as it's available. Usually when I do a product review, it's easy to say I'd like to see this, and this changed for the next generation of the product. With the Kessil A360X, the only thing I can think of is built-in Wi-Fi, and that's really because it's a public demand. Personally, it's not my thing. But the Kessil A360X is an amazing light. We have a great spec. We have great color. We have a great mounting option. We have that dense matrix LED. This light is exactly the perfect light for my tank, and I cannot give a product more praise than that.
These Kessil A360Xs rock. Maybe we should pull some overgrown coral out and grow some more. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you on the next one. Bye.